right, episode 74, Geographically Challenged. Here we are. I hope I'm in the shot. It's pretty tight, I think. But we're in China. We're in Shanghai. We've got the Shanghai studio set up once again, and we've got some excellent talent on the desk or the couch with us today as well. Look at this, some premium CS talent right here. Conky,
especially me,
Chubby Ninja, and Mac. All three of whom are Valorant casters, again.
Pretty much.
I don't know why they keep getting Valorant casters for this event, but anyway, it's fine. How you guys doing?
Good, man. It's like, well, we were here 5 years ago, and then yourself and Vic here a year ago now. Yeah. So it's pretty cool to be back. Like, I think just being, like, Shanghai is such a big place, and it's very, like, daunting, I think, if you haven't been anywhere like this before. Yeah. But it's such an amazing place, and the hospitality's been pretty good
Especially
so far.
daunting if you go out, get drunk, and then potentially throw up nearly in a car. And
Potentially.
Yeah, that could be anyone.
I started my trip really badly, guys. Just want to put that out there.
Could have been anyone.
This is your first time in Shanghai?
Yeah, first time in China. I've dodged every China gig somehow, and I finally got on one.
Yeah.
So.
Damn. Well, I mean, we were here last year. I think this is the first year. Obviously, it was my first year last year, but this 2025 is the first year where they've kind of changed everything for EXTREMESLAND,
right?
Including even the hotel we're staying. Like, I don't know, this background looks nicer than your podcast last year, right?
Definitely.
It's a nicer hotel. The venue is bigger. There are more teams playing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. No, you're right, because like back in 2019, we were in that same hotel as what we were in last year. So they were in the same hotel like 5 years later. But it seems like EXTREMESLAND at least has kind of grown a little bit. But anyway, look, we'll talk about that as we get a little bit deeper into the episode. Before we do get too far in, one very special piece of news for Geographically Challenged. This is the first podcast episode that we have a sponsor
We made it, baby.
Woo. So we made it 5 years running. We've done it for free, and now we're finally getting paid. Thank you very much. Skin Club. I want to ask you guys, what's your favorite skin in CS?
I like the, Jesus, it's the Lotus, the green AK.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but Mac, what about you?
I like that. What's the Anubis one? I can't bloody remember.
The Empress?
The M4? Or?
No, the AK, the porcelain.
Oh, the porcelain AK is cool. What about you?
The name.
So this is really funny. It's not like I haven't played CS before. I have, but the skins I tend to like, Alex, my boyfriend, has pointed out, he's like, those ones are worth nothing. So all the ones I like are worth nothing.
You know what? The best one, I reckon you should get the Banana 5.7. I reckon you'd be a Banana 5.7 user.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check that out.
We'll throw it up on the screen.
I think it's called Monkey Business.
It is, yeah.
The Skin King.
It is pretty cool.
Anyway, Mac, the reason I brought up the skins was because you have a pretty poorly named knife. Do you want to let everyone know what it's called?
Yeah, the dirty butt tickler.
The dirty butt tickler. It's a disgusting knife. It's like a brown karambit, right?
It's a safari mesh.
Right.
It's safari
but it's
mesh
like real scratch
karambit,
and shit.
But it's just like scratched real bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just looks like someone took a shit on it. But I unboxed it.
Is that your name?
It's I named it that.
It's not called dirty butt tickler.
I just Googled it, and I'm probably gonna get weird images now.
Yes, probably.
Oh wow.
That we can't show on the.
We might blur it. We might not. Anyway, the reason I brought that up, Mac, is because I hate your knife. I think it looks so ugly, and I'm just thinking if you want to upgrade your knife, you should check out Skin Club, where you can get a 7% deposit bonus if you use the link in my description, and that would be a really good idea for you because your knife is disgusting. It is one of the most popular skin opening websites, platforms, whatever. It's got a provably fair system. You can open some cases. Got a 35% better chance than the in-game cases. So I recommend you do that, Mac. And if you're
shaming me into that.
Yes. And if you level up your account, you can get some better stuff in those cases as well. So that's pretty good. If you don't like cases, you can do some skin battles, stuff like that. So check that out. Personally, I think I would try the share mode where everybody gets to win. I think that's pretty cool. I'm a bit of a sharing is caring kind of a guy.
Of course, very generous.
Yeah, exactly.
Not selfish guy.
Anyway, look, if you're keen to give that a try, obviously if you're keen to support us as well. I do. I will. Not with you guys.
We're not employees of the Geographically Challenged, right?
But Bleh and Pilski are getting a cut of this, by the way, as well. But yeah, look, if you're keen to check that out, if you're keen to support Geographically Challenged in any way, or if you're interested in skins and do all that kind of thing, obviously would appreciate it if you'd check out Skin Club. If you're so inclined, but just make sure you're over 18 years old. That's the only thing. So look, shout outs to Skin Club, first sponsor on Geographically Challenged. Big fans.
Get more of us too. More.
Yeah. But let's talk Counter-Strike now. Look, I guess since you're here, Vic, we should start with all of the EXTREMESLAND talk so that you can have some huge involvement. I'm sure you've got a lot that you want to get out on the table here. So let's talk Jamyoung to Tyloo. I know you're a big fan of Jamyoung. He spent a couple of months in Valorant.
Totally.
What's your thoughts on his return to Tyloo?
Valorant.
Pog.
I do have some thoughts. Oh yeah, this is not Valorant. I can be kind of unfiltered.
You can be unfiltered. You can say whatever you want. You can rag on him. We actually, in the last episode, man, we were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, because he's like literally in one of the top Chinese teams. Yeah, they missed the major. And he's going to go and try and Valorant. And it seems like, yeah, you can play Valorant, right? And you can try and get in there and like, do something there. But why are you giving up a good thing that you've got here in CS for the potential of what might happen in Valorant when we don't even know if he's going to be good in Valorant? And then he goes and tries Valorant. He apparently fails his trial there. Now he comes back to CS.
I think this kind of goes to show you that there are two different games. I can understand why certain players would want to make that jump.
Yeah. Especially in Asia. I mean, like, Dreamscape is here. They made the jump to Valorant. At least, like, their roster from many years ago, and they're doing really well now in Valorant as Paper X. So I can see why people would want to make that investment. Coming back to CS, though, would you say he's coming back with his tail between his legs, or how would you describe it? I guess we have to find out.
You guys definitely know way more than me about this.
Like, we have to find out, though, right? Like, because at this point, it's kind of weird, though. I'm happy to see him back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of happy to see him back, but I just don't know what expectations I necessarily have for Tyloo. I think this event's going to be like really a bit of a wait and see pudding type deal, right? Like we've seen that kind of core before. We've seen that core 4. But obviously they're playing with Ormond. It's going to be a stand-in situation. I just think as far as Tyloo's concerned, I don't really have a lot of expectations for them here at this event, honestly. So I don't know. I'm happy to see Jam Young back, but I want it to be like a legit thing. I don't want it to be in fucking Tyloo where they're playing like 4 core plus a sub. Oh, Jam Young's just come back. He wanted to play Valorant, but he didn't want to be in CS, and now he's back again. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just a bit whack.
It's a little disappointing. Tyloo, I think, had a decent run for a while, good reputation, but I feel like that's been changing.
That legacy
since last year. Yeah, the legacy is not quite it used to be, and even in their Valorant team too, it's not. I don't know. They're not the name that they used to be.
Yeah. Well, they were such like a powerful org. Like, you go back to when it was, Tyloo Vici and when Tyloo had that massive run at IEM Beijing and all that kind of stuff. They were like such a good organization. They were the team that finally like broke the mold for Chinese CS and that. And then they've just been trying to build something again for so long. And like, we thought we had it at the end of last year and then they didn't make the major and, all these other bits and pieces. So it's just, I just want them to like do fucking well finally. We need something consistent.
Me too. I think they should still be a top 4 team at this event, Mac. Like,
100%.
There's no way they shouldn't be top 4.
I still have Jam Young probably being one of the MVPs of the event. He's mechanically insane. I don't know if he's played a LAN since there's been the back-end changes of the game that allowed riflers to just have way better spray control, way better spray transfers. That's...
Yeah,
like 3-4 months ago.
The last LAN he played would have been the ESL Challenger final, which was the Pro League qualifier toward the end of last year. That was just after the that was just before the RMR. That was before the RMR because what we were saying for them was like they're gonna really care about this because they didn't qualify for the RMR. This is like the only thing they can actually play that's actually relevant at this point for the end of the year. So he did play that. I don't know what time that change came through though. I think it was after that. It was after the or it was just before the RMR, wasn't it?
That was after I'd moved overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was after Pro League. I can't remember when. But going into it must have just been just before the RMRs because I remember going into the RMR. I think I made the tweet saying, "Watch the riflers go crazy."
Yeah.
And we did see like crazy highlights this major and minors.
Yeah. Look, we'll see. I mean, I think at this point, Tyloo, they're kind of like they're still expected to be good, but I don't necessarily expect them to win. I think if they would have come here with their full core roster, we probably would have even have potentially expected them to win. Right now, though, I think the talk of the town honestly kind of has to be Rare Atom going into this event, personally. We can touch on XSC Pro League a little bit at some point if we want to throughout this episode, but that just finished last night. Rare Atom won that. They beat Atox in that final, I believe 2-0 pretty comfortably as well. Obviously they did pretty well at the RMR. They did reasonably well at the major. Of all of the teams at this event, I actually think Rare Atom is probably the team that has got the best runway coming in. And without Mongols being here, I mean, that's obviously another talking point. Like, Mongols not here, defending champions of EXTREMESLAND last year. I feel like it's Rare Atoms potentially to take this, to be honest. The only question I have is how their LAN form goes against someone like Tyloo, because they have had issues against Tyloo on LAN before. But, like, other than that, it seems like most of this field is definitely very beatable for Rare Atom. So my take would probably be at this point, and maybe it's not a hot. Is that a hot take? Is Rare Atom to win this event right now? Is that a hot take?
I don't think it's a hot take at all, really. Like they are one of those teams where we didn't really expect them to maybe make the RMR sort of thing. Like they were a lot of people's like earmarked like second or third, right? Maybe, but there was no guarantee that they're going to make it through. They make it through.
Yeah.
They had a bit of a rough one, but then at least beating Fnatic at the major in front of the Chinese crowd, I feel like that's given them some like life again. And then they have their near on month off. Maybe they're rejuvenated, come back, and it maybe seems like some of the older players have got a bit more like spark in them. So I think they've definitely got a chance to do it. But as always, like they've lost to a lot of these teams before. So you just hope that form's consistent.
Do we have a crowd? For
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. Big.
The whole time?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
They're flying in streamers.
Someone
and
give her a mic.
They're flying in streamers and content creators for this too. It's
Yeah,
actually quite a large group of them. Last year we didn't have any of that, so I think we'll have a decent crowd.
Yeah,
the Chinese audience is pretty enthusiastic.
I mean, and just on the topic of like EXTREMESLAND in general, I think I don't know what your vibe is, Vic, but obviously both of us were here last year. I get the vibe that there's a lot more investment this year than what there was last year. Like, because remember last year they were saying like, oh, this is kind of just like, we're just kind of like testing the waters again, because they hadn't done an EXTREMESLAND for a few, or they had, but they hadn't really.
Online.
They've done like online
Yeah.
stuff. They hadn't really done a LAN for like a few years because of COVID. They're like, oh, we're just testing it to sort of see how it goes. There was even talk that event last year was going to be a Valorant event. But then obviously they did CS. It was 8 teams. They're like, oh, we're testing it. We'll see how things go. Now we're here again, 16 teams. I would say better hotel, definitely. We're in a much better position within Shanghai. The hotel's a lot nicer. Haven't obviously seen the venue yet. This is the day of rehearsals.
The
We haven't gone in
photos
yet,
though
but
look sick. So
photos
far.
look big. Like
we're in the arena too,
as
which
you're
is
saying,
awesome.
with influencers and stuff coming as well. Like it seems like this year there's a bit of a step up to me.
Oh yeah, definitely a huge step up, which is really cool. I mean, I obviously wasn't here even pre-COVID. Was that ever?
It was. I would
offline?
say it was. There was lands, but it was way more like community vibe even than what
Yeah.
last year was. Last year felt like a big step up from previous EXTREMESLANDs.
Yeah.
So it's probably like the same step up again this year to me.
So I'm really curious how this is going to end up playing out. I really liked last year, and like you said, it was always. It still had a really nice community vibe to it, even though it was like a proper stage
Yep.
and there was an audience and everything to it. It felt pretty premium. China events are also like really good at
Yes, they're very good.
that feel of like premium events. But I think this year is going to be even bigger, and I wonder if we're still going to get that same community vibe, or if it's going to feel more like closer, like a step up to a tier 1 or tier 2 event. I don't know what I would be hoping for personally though, because I personally really like the community feel.
Yeah.
But
I think what this will end up being actually is going to be, it's like going to be like a bit of a 50-50. It's going to be half and half. The first like half of the event where we're going through the group stages and we've got like all of those sort of like the Vietnamese teams and the Korean teams and the Philippines teams and the Thai teams, like all those teams that aren't, really like super competitive, let's just say. I think we're going to get like that community vibe where everyone's pretty happy to just be like, competing. I think, you would remember from the interviews that you were doing with some of the like Korean players, for example, last year, like they were just like, we're just happy to be here, right?
yeah, I think this event in general for EXTREMESLAND, and I'm not saying this just because they hired us, it's actually really important to the players. Obviously, I talked to a lot of Valorant players, but a lot of them came from this event. This was the only real regional Asia or APAC event for CS, and for them to come together to me in person, all the cool stuff of like competing offline. This was the only event really available for any like CS player. So I think that's cool actually that they didn't switch to Valorant, they didn't give into that, and they like stuck to this, and then they're inviting even more teams now. I think there's certain regions where CS was dying. Thailand's one of them. Actually, I'm surprised they actually have a team here. So I think this is good. I think this is like a great way to kind of keep this community alive, and to see it grow is like awesome.
Well, that's I think their methodology or their mindset for EXTREMESLAND is that it is supposed to be a vehicle to like promote CS in those regions that are not often getting that promotion, like you said. Like Thailand, definitely one of them. Philippines, definitely. Like we lost a lot of, or pretty much all of our players to Valorant. Korea, obviously, as well.
Still one of the highlights I remember of all time, Puppy Chulo
Yeah,
on train, baby.
exactly. Back in 2019.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it, because like the Valorant players, they talk about like, you're doing EXTREMESLAND, like, oh my god, and they'll talk about these moments of like these kind of moments, and I think it's so cool because you can see it has like a special place in their hearts. Back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, the only criticism I would actually have for this, like I think EXTREMESLAND from 23 to 24 has been a massive upgrade, huge like props, I would say, to the guys that are running it. The only criticism that I possibly could find here is I think we probably should have a Japanese team, maybe even over the Korean team. I don't know how the slot distribution discussion happens, but I know that there are a couple of teams from Japan that are actually playing CS that are like, they're not good, let's just be real, but like they're actually trying, you know what I mean? Like they're actually proper teams. Whereas Korea, as far as I understand, this Korean team is literally just a pug team. They've just been put together for this event. But I think at least in the rest of the regions like Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, etc., they're all actual teams. And I would like to have maybe seen the Japan region get that slot, just because I think that there is a team that would benefit more from it than what we would get for Korea. But I understand again, the methodology is like we want to promote it to regions which don't get a lot of slots, so maybe it will promote teams to actually exist in those kinds of regions, and that's fair enough. But maybe you could have taken away a Mongolia slot or a China slot, and I know that's going to be like a real hot take, obviously, because those are the strongest regions. But like, what is our objective? What is our goal for eXTREMESLAND right here? Do we want to promote the best of Asia? I mean, maybe that's definitely an argument to be made, but you, in that case, would still have 3 Chinese slots and 2 Mongolia slots if you took one off of both of them.
I'd be curious what you guys think, actually. That's an interesting take. Like, having the top teams perform, though, is a huge draw when you see the best of the best playing, and it's inspirational, and that, in a way, can grow a talent, like more talents. But then, on the other hand, if you don't give opportunity to certain regions, it's hard for that region to grow too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have an opinion on that, but I think it's an interesting question.
On the Japanese team, like I remember meeting like Laz and Bas and all that at 2019 eXTREMESLAND, and they were the first team that I think there was like an actual organization-driven directive where Scars became absolute, and then it's obviously Zeta now, where it was like, you guys are playing Valorant now. Like there was no question to it. They all moved to Valorant, and then they went from being a very, very like average team globally, like I think they did quite poorly at eXTREMESLAND, to like, I think they played in champs, like one of the first champs, and they did okay. So it is such a crazy dynamic to see it all, but I do agree. It's like, it moves away from your community sort of vote, Vic, where if it's like, you're getting all the different regions in, giving them local qualifiers, giving them capacity to fly to something, right? Like to actually like make something, versus are we just trying to pull a big Chinese crowd? Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the Asia CS enthusiast in me would probably say, I would like to see the top 3 Chinese teams, the top 3 Mongolian teams, the top 2 Oceanic teams, and fuck the rest kind of thing, like whatever. Like nobody else is really relevant, and I think we'll see that as this event goes on. But I just think at the end of the day, like if this is going to be the only Asia-based tournament, you kind of want to have a little bit of representation from everywhere, and we almost have it. Like I think we almost have like kind of the perfect group of invites. I would. If it were me,
Japan, I think we're only missing Japan.
We're really only missing Japan. There was
Indonesian team,
there was an
there?
Indonesian team.
I think there was an Indo team last time.
I thought there was an Indonesia qualifier, but I don't know what happened to that. Maybe that became Singapore. I can't remember exactly what the original announcement was, but I thought that there was an Indonesia qualifier, and then there was because we were like, Alter Ego could take that Indonesia slot, but they don't actually have.
That's right. Sorry, that's
or I can't remember, whatever. But yeah, like I think there could have been, there probably could be an Indonesia slot and probably a Japan slot. So in that case, maybe you take a slot off of China, you take a slot off Mongolia, and give one to Japan, one to Indonesia, and then you have like a pretty much full spread of wherever you'd want. Obviously, like there's no, for example, Malaysia slot, but like a lot of the time the Malaysian players will be playing in a Singaporean team
NYSG
anyway.
Usually anyway.
So where else are you really missing? I mean, you're then starting to get into the world where like do you start to invite teams like from like Eastern Europe, like Eastern Russia, obviously is playing a big part in Asian CS at the moment as well, and some of those kinds of teams. But like, obviously at the end of the day, you can't please everyone. So I think we have to be pretty happy with how things have played out here for Extremes. And like, obviously can't really be too critical.
It's just good that it's still going.
Yeah.
Like, it's so nice to actually have it and to go from, again, 8 teams last year to come back. Like, when it ended after COVID, you sort of sat back going, do we ever get this back again? And then it starts to build its way back up. It's sick.
Super hyped. I think we've talked about most of the interesting teams on the Chinese side. I will just quickly mention Fated Rise, formerly known as Cat Evil. I actually think they're a pretty interesting shout. I haven't seen them play many LANs, but they have been doing a bit of damage online. They actually beat Tyloo and Linvision in the qualifier for this. So those are some pretty serious business scalps. I definitely think that that's a team that if teams go in and like underestimate them, they are going to cause some damage. I would be very surprised if Fated Rise doesn't make it into some sort of playoffs position. Have a look at their group. They're actually in a super easy group as well, Group B.
Because you did mention that the groups were a bit...
The groups are a bit wonky. I would love to put them on the screen, but I'm just not going to do that. Too much effort for the edit. But Group B is Fated Rise, EXO, which is one of the Arabian rosters. That's the Osama's Oscar roster.
Yep.
And then Blaze Warriors, which is from Vietnam, so they're probably not that good. And then Real Original Gaming, which is the Thai roster, which were former CS players. 789,
Mayrolls and
Rolex, Myrolls, Genius, all four of them
They
played
would have
CS.
played at the 2019 Extremesland, pretty sure.
Potentially,
Maybe.
potentially.
Yeah.
But I think I think Fated Rise is easily the strongest team in that group. I think they should make it out of that group, and they'll make it into playoffs. I think they're going to be a pretty interesting shout. I don't know if you guys have really much to say necessarily on Fated Rise, but I think we definitely should keep an eye on them.
Yeah, for sure. I think any of the Chinese teams that are like so good individually, they can always make a few upsets. And I know like the start of the competition, we've obviously got a ton of like best of ones as well. So like anything can happen in those, right?
Yep. The other teams that I think we should definitely mention, obviously the Mongolian rosters, we haven't really talked about them too much, but IHC, Chinggis Warriors, and Atox have kind of all gone through a bit of a rebuild over the last, like, let's say 2-3 months kind of thing. So questions about what their relative strength is going to be. I think they're all definitely playoffs worthy teams. I don't know. Is it 2 teams? It's 2 teams from each group. So it really does depend on what the groups end up looking like.
What was the team that came in for the Mongols this time around? Was it IHC
it would have been
Chinggis
Chinggis Warriors.
Yeah, I thought so.
Chinggis Warriors took that last chance qualifier slot. Of the Mongolian teams, I think obviously Atox looks like the strongest one. Most definitely. But IHC and Chinggis Warriors, I can see definitely doing some damage. The only concern for me, and this will tie into the Semperfi discussion, is Group C is absolutely fucking stacked, bro. Like, Group C is Tyloo, Semperfi, IHC, and then poor old Oni Clan, which I think is the Philippines roster. So they're just going to get absolutely blasted. But Group C is like the group of death, I would think.
Well, yeah, group of death, like for Semperfi too, right? You know, they
Yep.
got a bit of pressure on them, which
Yep.
we'll surely talk about later.
We've got BO1s to open up the group stage as well, and it's Tyloo, Semperfi, the first game in that particular group. So when I'm looking at the groups and I'm just like, if I were to have a guess about what the top 8 would be to go through the playoffs, and this is like tying into that discussion around group stage is going to feel like very community vibes. But I think once we get out of groups, we actually have some very seriously quite decent teams in that playoff. So like once we get to playoffs, we're going to get like the more this is a serious kind of event vibe. So Group A, Rare Atom, God's Reign, Dreamscape, Chinggis. I would say it's probably Rare Atom, Chinggis. But God's Reign and Dreamscape, I could see an upset coming from. God's Reign, obviously a pretty legit team from India.
Yeah.
Dreamscape, just some OGs. If they have a good run, potentially could do some damage, get an upset, maybe in a best of 1 over a Chinggis. But I think Rare Atom 1, Chinggis 2 for me.
Yep.
Is that agreed?
Agreed. Yeah.
Agreed.
How did God's Reign do it? They played Sky Esports, right?
They did.
Yeah.
No, sorry. That was, I think it was Executioners.
All right.
Was it God's Reign at Sky Sports Masters? I swear it was.
No.
Because I can't remember if they
No,
got
I
like
think
stomped
I
or had a
think
decent win or...
They choked the qualifier, wasn't that why?
Oh, yeah, you
Crunchy
might be right.
Crunchy was over there.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
they played Sky Sports Masters, but not Champs.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Champs
right.
was the one I'm thinking about. It
Was
was
that
True
True
Rippers. True Rippers.
There you
Yeah,
go.
True
Yeah,
Rippers.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I personally think God's Reign is the number 1 Indian team from what I've seen, but I just don't know that they're going to necessarily be able to cut the mustard against Rare Atom and Chinggis personally. So Group B, Fated, EXO, Blaze, ROG. I would say that's Fated EXO for me pretty comfortably. I don't think there's really much of a discussion on Group B. Group C's Tyloo, Semperfi, IHC, Oni Clan. That's a really hard one to say because this is where we have to sort of talk about Semperfi, and we haven't really seen much from
That's what I was about to
Semperfi.
say. Like they've been boot camping for almost 2 months.
boot
like,
camp for 50 days.
over
That's
Christmas,
crazy.
all living together in the same house.
Yeah.
I understand that they're getting along like really, really well personally as well.
Yep.
So I think that'll be super interesting to see actually like
Yep.
what they look like. And Keen and Shady are obviously super sharp as well, Latvian
Yeah.
players. So
Yeah.
lots to expect, I guess.
I want to say Semperfi gets out of that group,
Mm.
but like I could see them losing to Tyloo. I could see them losing to IHC for sure, 100%.
Is it full round robin?
It's full round robin.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I think it's GSL.
Upper lower?
Yeah, I think it's GSL. So there's a world where like you may play Tyloo twice potentially. Like if you lose to Tyloo, then beat like Oni, and then IHC beats Tyloo, for example. And then you play Tyloo again for the qualifier slot. So there's a world where that could happen, definitely. I don't know. I think Semperfi is a pretty decent roster. It's just that like we haven't seen them on LAN. We haven't seen them really much at all. Obviously, they've been boot camping. We don't really know much necessarily for the IHC guys either. Tyloo's in a bit of a debacle. So I think Group C is like really, really hard to say. The only thing I can definitely say is that Oni is definitely not making it out of that group. But any 2 of those 3 other teams could definitely make it. And then Group D, Miracle Play, Gigi Hao, Atox, Nala Kuvara. Miracle Play is the Korean team, so they're doomed. Nala Kuvara is the Chinese like city-based team. I don't know. Do you know anything about this, Vic? Because there's 4 China slots, right? And 3 of them are like actual legit teams. And then there's this 4th slot that is like an offline qualifier. And what I think it is, and I can't recall if there was teams like this last year. I can't recall if we got an answer to it. I think they're uni-based teams based in cities. That's what I think it was. Do you remember what the teams were last year?
I'm trying to remember.
Because there was like 2 teams that were just like random teams. We're like, I don't even know any of these guys. I think they're
From
uni
China?
teams. Yeah, Chinese teams. Yeah, I think they're uni teams.
Man, I only remember the 2 that we like Lin Vision and Tai Lu.
Yeah, they're the only ones worth remembering. That's the thing.
Was there another Chinese team? Oh my god.
Yeah, there was.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They didn't go very
It was a
far.
blue logo. I can't even remember what they're called.
That's the thing about China, though, right? Like, this is where some of the prodigies could be just like pulled out of randomly. You know, it's
Yeah,
like finding
potentially.
like Mercury and Mosaic and all that, like just in like
Yeah.
5e, right? Like,
But I mean, looking at that, it should be Gigi Hao and Atox coming out. So, like, let's just if we would have those 8 teams: Rare Atom, Chinggis, Fated, EXO. Let's just say Tai Lu, Semperfi, and Atox, Gigi Hao. Like, that's pretty decent top 8. So that'll be pretty interesting when we get to those playoffs. So I think that's pretty cool. But we'll see. Is there anything else to say about Extremesland? I mean, who's going to win? I guess Rare Atom. Anyone have any differing opinion?
I reckon like Rare Atom's a really good shout. Tai Lu, like, they could just have a god run, like just on individual performances. You never really know.
Yeah.
It really sort of pits on that like who shows up, who doesn't kind of thing. I think we'll find that out quite early. Atox is obviously a bit of a, not even really a dark horse, right? They're a super solid team.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like the Aussie in me says, I really want Semperfi to at least make top 4.
Yep.
If they don't, I think they'll probably be a bit disappointed. So
Yeah, I think they're aiming top 4.
bit of
at
pressure
least.
on them.
Yeah.
I'm just keen to watch some fucking Counter-Strike. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie.
All right. On that topic, then.
You guys are selling me hard on the Aussie team. You're like, I don't know. I was kind of like, oh, Australia. I don't know.
We've got to have some bias, otherwise we
I know,
are
but it's
like
working.
depressed.
It's like rubbing off on me. I'm like, oh, maybe, yeah, that boot camp sounds serious. And like, they look really confident. They're like, I don't know.
I mean, the
They
only
came and
thing.
said hi to us at breakfast and everything. They're like, hey guys. Yeah.
Players said hello to us.
That's
Like, there's
dope.
going to be talent bias now. Shit.
The only thing that will wreck them is like the fact that they're in probably the hardest group. Like
Yeah.
they are easily, I would say, a top 8 team at this event, but
Okay.
they may not be a top 8 team at this event if things go wrong in the
And
group.
we haven't
That's the
spoken to
problem.
them if they've been scrimming against the other teams because obviously they've spent so
Yeah.
much time in Europe. Apparently they have been getting like punched around pretty hard, but they've been trying to scrim like tier 1.
Yeah.
And it's a weird time to scrim too, right? Because a lot of people are taking time off playing and everything like that post major.
Yeah.
So if they have like had some good experience with this, because you scrim tier 1 Europe, it's completely different to T2 Asia.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, so.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's enough about Extremesland. Obviously, you know, we'll have to wait and see. By the time this episode airs, Extremesland starts tomorrow. We'll probably air this afternoon. Let's talk train in for Vertigo, though. This is obviously a big change. Now, this doesn't affect Extremesland. That's the first and most important thing that we need to be aware of. But what do you guys think about train? Are you big fans of train? I mean, Conky's played 1 game of train, so maybe he
2.
doesn't- And I think, Vic, you've probably played a grand total of 0 games of train, so
Yeah,
maybe there's
I've,
not going to be a huge amount from this part from me and Mac.
I
But
have nothing to contribute. I'm listening. Now I'm like
You're the
live
learner.
audience.
You're the
for
live
you
audience.
guys.
Can you like do some random shit posting in the chat or something? Just go, I fucking hate train, or like just randomly say
I'll
shit.
post- I would've-
It'll be like having live chat here. Mac, what do you think of train?
Oh, it's fucking dog shit. It needs
Do you
changes.
think it's dog shit? I think it's fun.
It's better than Vertigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
You reckon in the current state it's better than Vertigo?
Okay, here's the first thing. Would you rather have train or Vertigo in the pool?
Train 100%.
Train.
Okay, so
But old train.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
yeah,
Me
yeah.
too. But the thing for me is like, remember when Ancient came in? I think we said the exact same thing when was the most recent map change? Whatever. But my point is, Ancient went through like 6 months of changes, like
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
pretty heavily, like for a
Before
good
it got
while.
adopted, like, at all.
Before it got like super like popular, and now it's pretty much, I would say, the most popular map in the pool, probably.
Yeah. And then Anubis got
And Anubis
quicker.
also.
That was like
Yep.
like 2 months maybe.
So I think recently, and I say recently in CS terms because it has been like fucking 12 months since there's been a map change.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the more recent map changes, Valve have done a pretty good job of like getting the maps up to speed.
What was the other one? The other one was Dust In for Overpass. That was the last
Dust,
one.
yeah, but that's yeah.
yeah,
anyway.
Dust, look,
Not much.
25-year long
Yeah.
map.
So I don't know about you, but like, yeah, maybe train's not like at that point where it's like perfect for fucking esports ready.
It'll get changed.
I don't know if you saw on Anders' Twitter. I saw he because you know how Anders, he just fucking runs around the map and like looks at everything.
Yeah.
There's like a little hole in like the wall or something over B halls, like where you can stand and you can like literally look through the wall at the bomb train, like at the default bomb train
Is
on
there
B.
like a weird like pixel gap?
It's like a pixel that you can see
Right.
through, and you can wall bang it and kill the guy. Anyway, like you know,
Holy
like those
shit.
little things. Like
Yeah, yeah.
obviously that'll all be fixed, but I'm happy to see train in. I'm obviously someone that's a bit more of a fan of like seeing the maps change more often than they do personally.
Yeah.
So I think any change is a good change. Obviously, nobody liked Vertigo. Nobody wants to fucking play Vertigo.
The
So
thing about Vertigo is like they changed
rid
it
of it.
so many fucking times, and it still was like bad.
Yeah,
You know, like I
yeah.
feel like the final iteration with like the cat extension and like the opening,
Yeah.
that was the worst iteration, right?
Yeah.
Like I hated that so much.
Yeah, I know. There's already been like changes on train.
Yep.
Like when it first came out, there was a lot of weird like pixel it wasn't
Holes
even
and
pixel,
stuff.
the pixel holes, but then like things you could stand on. Like you could stand on like the back of the trains, right at the back of Ivy, and then you could also boost someone and get a nice angle all the way into like A main.
Right.
Yep.
But then they fixed that because that was apparently unintentional. When it
Course,
was like
yeah.
cool angles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a gap for back six or green train.
Yep.
You know, at the top of it, there was a gap. So if someone was on top of the train, you could just see them through this like tiny little
Yeah,
gap.
okay.
But then they patched all that.
Yeah.
And so all of these cool things, I was like, oh yeah, it's like super interesting. They're just all the fucking interesting things got taken away, and it was just like
It's
you just
not
have
meant
to
to
run
be.
out of A main with flashes.
Yeah.
And it's just the timings are all going
Because
crazy.
did you notice
so-
that like I obviously was always like AWPing train, and I was usually B anchor, but I was switch up to play like kind of back Ivy and stuff, and just the amount of like spawn lines that have all changed slightly. Like I remember trying to rush to like pick B main like through halls, and then there's that big fucking thing in the way. I had to like run up a different way. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't rush B
Yeah.
anymore. Like this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is bullshit. So I feel like whereas T side feels very much the same. You're just throwing flashes over main, running out, and just trying to get AK gun duels as quickly as you can. So I feel like CT plays so much differently currently, and T's just similar.
Yeah, I think Sponge was going pretty in deep on it. They released another talking counter, and I watched it either at the airport or like from the airport to here. I can't remember. But he was talking about how the changes to ladder, pop dog or whatever are
Yeah,
so
pop,
huge.
yeah.
Like, and the fact that you can't watch Ivy from E-Box now means you actually have to invest someone over towards Ivy, which
Yeah.
weakens the outside sight. But you can also watch the ladder drop if you push upper at B.
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
no like ladder to drop down now. You have to fucking
walk
run
around.
The amount of
that dumb
contests I
hallway.
would
So you
get.
could hold that on an offline
Yeah.
and not be seen from anyone in white
Yeah.
and brown halls.
So maybe some more aggressive B holds potentially on the
Yeah.
cards. I don't know. Like we have to wait and see. But like my general take on it is I think it's a good thing. I think obviously train's going to take a little while to get up to speed. But by the time the major rolls around, which ultimately is like kind of when we would want things to happen.
And because they've already confirmed like the train's in, right?
It's in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they've got majors in June, I think. So they've got like a pretty good 6 months lead time into it. Teams will have picked it up by then. So I'm happy to see it. Obviously, it doesn't affect us here for EXTREMESLAND, but I think in general it's a positive change personally. And I'd like to see more map rotations. I think every major cycle there should be one map in, one map out personally. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's just me. All right, what other news have we got? Dfrag announcing the Oceanic VRS tournament, the
Let's
Dfrag
go.
Invitational. This is a big one. I don't think many people were really like expecting this
No,
necessarily.
not at all.
Yeah.
Well, they were just doing Bris Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And now that's turned into the only other than online challenger, if that
Yeah.
even exists.
That gives
ESL
VRS.
Challenger
It gives
OSH
VRS
exists,
points.
yeah.
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 So
So I spoke to Dan a little while ago about it, and he was just doing everything he could, and finally got a contact into Valve to
Yeah.
be like, well, you know, we run LANs, like we want to try to do this, like how do we get a part of this? And gave him a bunch of criteria. But apparently Valve was like super responsive and
Yeah.
super receptive,
Yeah.
which is fucking awesome. Because you think about some of these bigger companies, it's like super hard to like break in. But the fact that a local tournament organizer was able to give like a deck and then
Yeah.
be like, we can make good events. And so I'd like know a little bit more, like he's just invested into a studio. So Mav's going to have everything. He's got all the gear.
Yep.
And he's been doing it for so fucking long, right? Like he knows the ins and
Yeah.
outs. He's been with us for, 10 plus years. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's so good to see.
yeah, I mean, I just want to give it a bit of a shout out because like I think it is important, especially for us in Oceania, to have this kind of thing because as you said, Mac, like it's really the only thing there is to play in apart from ESL Challenger League, which is whatever at this point. $20,000 prize pool. Obviously, it's VRS ranked as well, which is very important for the Oceanic teams. And as you said, Conk, the conversations I've had with Mav, he is he's basically renting a studio space in Brisbane, and this is more or less going to be like the first thing that he has in it. So super keen for that. Obviously, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be, I think, quite a serious thing. Like I think people are looking at it and going, "Oh, it's going to be like a Bris Vegas vibes." I saw people like asking on
Fuck
Twitter,
no, it's gonna
like,
be
"Oh,
way
can we come
different.
and watch and stuff like that?" It's like, no, like this is going to be locked down because it's got VRS ranking. It's going to be teams and players and their staff only, and then obviously talent is going to be on site.
It's not going to be me drinking 2 Cosmos on the couch.
No,
it's
serious
real,
business.
real deal.
So I kind of like that, and that's kind of like always sort of what I wanted Bris Vegas to be anyway. I don't know about what you guys think, but for me, like I thought Bris Vegas, it's cool to have community stuff, but like we don't even have like proper stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If we can get like Wonderlands, for example, that are just the fun one where you rock up, where like Inns will play with fucking Falcon and then some randoms or whatever, and get them together where everyone just is there to basically have fun, go get on the piss afterwards. Those are good to have, but for just a little bit of prize money. But we still desperately need something where it's like we've actually got to put our fucking big boy pants on, scrim, prac, so we can try qualify for the major. Because what, 5 spots for Asia now? So like,
yeah,
there's a fair bit going on.
When's the first one?
what the first
This
Bris Vegas
March.
Dfrag Invitational, I should say.
Yep.
The dates, I think.
So either just before or just after my birthday, I can't remember.
When's your birthday?
19th of March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
It was-
14th.
that's right, it's so
That's
close,
right, I
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Here it is. It's March 20 and 23 for the
There you
main
go,
event.
there you go.
Open calls February
Yeah.
1st and 2nd.
Event.
You can come. You can come have a birthday
import
party
Vic?
at the
Actually,
Dfrag Invitational.
it doesn't clash with the VCT schedule, that our birthday week. So
There you go.
Maybe.
go watch you guys. That'd be
It'd
cool.
actually be really fun, to be honest, yeah.
So the main event is going to be the top 4 teams in OS invited, which will include FlyQuest. I imagine FlyQuest will decline it.
Yeah, I don't
there's,
think
there's
they're
no
gonna
real
go.
reason for them to go necessarily, but
and if things go wrong, they lose a lot of points.
That's right, yeah, because I think that was literally one of the arguments. It's like, if we get upset, it could actually drop us in the rankings.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and have a quick look at the rankings and see who would actually get invited.
You got to go, Vic?
I should go soon.
Yep.
I'm gonna sit here.
You can
and
feel free
try
to-
and quietly leave.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
fine.
Interrupt in the middle of a convo.
Anything you need to say?
I don't know. I'm
Follow Chubby Ninja on Twitter.
And Instagram.
If you like Valorant content,
If you love CS content.
Yeah, if you love CS content, definitely follow me. It's actually Victoria Chang. But
Oh, is
yeah,
it? Awkward.
thanks for having me. I wasn't even meant to be here. I was just gonna watch and like take some notes and like not be a shit host. But yeah. Anyway, fun hanging out with you guys. Really
Alright.
cool hanging out with all the Aussies. I'll see you guys in a bit.
all right,
We'll
see
see-
you.
we'll see Vic back,
See
I'm
you at
sure.
rehearsals.
Yeah.
Everyone say thank you, Vic, in
Thank
the
you, Vic.
in the comments.
Chat. Claps.
Yeah, it was good to have you on, Vic. And we'll see how things go at EXTREMESLAND, obviously, as well. But on the topic of the Dfrag Invitational, now, who are the teams from Oceania that would get the invite? So FlyQuest number 1, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Mind
then
Freak?
I'm looking at...
Mind Freak, Rooster, House Bets, probably.
Mind
around
Freak,
there.
Art Art of War, House Bets.
Art of War, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah
So wait,
yeah.
that's 5, right? Including
Alien-
FlyQuest.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
Is it
Talon.
8? Is it 8 teams?
It's 8. It's 4
Yeah.
teams invited to the main event, and then the 5th to 8th get invited to the qualifier.
Yeah.
Right.
So the 4 teams that would get invited, assuming FlyQuest declines, would be Mind Freak, Rooster, Art of War, House Bets.
Yeah.
Those 4 teams are invited to the LAN.
Yep.
And then Talon, DXA, KZG, Arcade are the next 4 that
Is
would...
Semper Fine on
Yeah,
there?
that's what I was about to say.
Semperfi's not
Semperfi's
on the Valve ranking at all.
Right.
Maybe this
Well,
will
because
get
yeah,
them
they
there.
barely played anything, right?
Yeah.
They played the Extreme Zone qualifier.
Didn't they play Challenger?
No.
No,
No, they
didn't.
didn't.
No.
But then there's obviously 4 slots in the open qual that they could potentially make it through. But obviously, how Extreme Zone goes will change how some of these rankings look.
Will this be a VRS event now that it's on HLTV and everything?
Oh no, it's actually not.
It's
That's
not,
right. You're
yeah.
right. Yeah, no, this is not a VRS
Yeah,
event.
yeah.
Extreme Zone's not a VRS
I didn't
event,
think so,
as far as I
because
understand.
there's not enough. Yeah, I don't know. But I know it's pretty soon as well. But it is on HLTV now, which is fucking awesome at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed that Extreme Zone's not VRS ranked because it feels like the perfect event to be VRS ranked. But
Maybe next year, hopefully. Like,
Yeah.
given how everything's all
I think
going.
they were trying. But they couldn't figure out.
Might have
I
been
don't know, a
too tight
contact or
after
something.
the major
maybe.
or something, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, that Dfrag event I think is going to be pretty cool. Obviously, I'm really hopeful that people are going to get around it. I know this is an Asia-based podcast, and most of the people that are watching this are Asia, but I know that there are a few people from OS that do watch it. So I'd say, just get amongst it. Make sure that you support it, because if you don't, like, that's how this shit dies. Like, that's the problem with Oceanic CS. That's why it's dying, is because no one's fucking contributing necessarily.
Yeah. And we know the deeper end as well. I think, like, there's obviously stuff that you can't say because you don't want to ruin sort of Mav's back end stuff, but the amount of fucking money that man spends of his own dime to running these things is just insane. Like, people want all this money, they want to do this, they want to do that, but they don't realize like how little sponsors are going to be willing to give. We're super blessed that, and this is obviously a bigger over top shout out, because like Zowie have supported me, they support Dfrag, they're running this EXTREMESLAND, so Zowie's got a big hand in the Dfrag Invitational, my understanding is. Bye Vic, we love you.
Bye.
So yeah, like Mav, not himself alone, like the team obviously behind it as well, but the amount of resources, time, and everything that this guy's put in over the years to still keep fucking going.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it feels like CS in Oceania specifically is kind of like just being hard carried by individuals.
Held up by,
when you look at like the teams as well, like Mindfreak is just fucking MJ.
Carmody,
really.
just putting it
up.
Yeah.
And like, who else really is there that's an org? I mean, Rooster's not a real org. Housebets, I guess, are getting some money from Housebets.
So you could argue Rooster's getting carried by like JD and Chell.
Yeah, I suppose.
Two more individuals, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at least that's been a consistent, right? Like they still keep playing, they still
Semperfi,
the GOAT and Chell.
The GOAT, of course.
Renamed.
Yeah.
Semperfi, the same thing. Like, it's Savage's
Get yourself
dad.
some
Like,
shoes.
So it's like, there's no actual, I mean, I guess they are quote unquote orgs. Like, you would say Semperfi is an org, but like, it's a bit different and Mindfreak is an org, but like, I don't want it. I mean, it doesn't fucking bother me personally, but like, at the end of the day, like, I don't want it to just be like, oh, these one or two guys decide, this isn't worth it anymore, and then there's no orgs left.
Yeah.
Like, that would kind of suck. So
yeah.
Well, because how many years ago was it when we had like MDL, when there were 16 teams and maybe like 8 were pretty good, but we had like Corvidae, Tainted, Chiefs, fucking every Greyhound was there at the time, all these teams under the sun, and then understandably, kind of we get that like Bliss Chiefs Tainted merge over time, but it's just because again, it's so financially unviable to do it, and that's why so many like even casters aren't full time for the most part, and we've got just yourself who's had to spend so much money to fucking move from the Gong to Sydney, then to fucking Europe, and thing. Jordan did the move as well, and like it just falls apart. So realistically, it's just those people, and that we're talking about it this morning, even like with ESL taking steps away from regional, the good ones still have jobs. That's what makes me really fucking happy. Like the people who have always been putting the heart and soul in, for the most part, they're still there, maybe just in different capacity. Yeah. And that's people like Mav, like MJ, White Girl, Ash, and Turtle, and like all those guys, Wanda. Like they're all still hanging around because they fucking love it.
How's that been, Mac, moving to Malta?
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's just all right.
It's just all right.
Only because
like, I just want to give
without
people
whinging too much. I found out like that the quality of living in Australia is
very
fucking immaculate.
Yeah.
And just overseas, it's just not the same.
What are the little things that catch you?
Oh, just not being able to drink tap water.
Yeah, true.
Just like too much chlorine. People are like, oh, it might fuck up your kidneys. Apparently people get cancer from it. And I'm like, I want to avoid that. So I'm buying 12 2-litre bottles of water a week that every time I come back from the gym, I'm like, do I have enough water? Yeah, nah. All right, I'll grab another 6. And it's like that. It's a small expense. Like groceries just cost like a little bit more than I expected.
Has it been isolating too? Because you've still got like a small circle there.
Yeah. And like when you're there, like I'm pretty much just at my computer. I'm at the gym or at my computer. Went out once for beers with Henry just before Chrissy, which was really good.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that we get a bit more.
Because Henry's, Chad, and Alex still live
Alex
there.
moved out, didn't he?
Alex is still there,
but in a house with his partner. Maybe?
Yeah, with his partner.
Yeah.
But he's moving back
for
family reasons to
okay.
the UK for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then we might also have some other new Malta people soon.
Right.
So
yeah.
we'll see.
And Jess, this plan is for Jess to still come? Like
She's aiming for May, but she hasn't started the visa application to get the extended visa or something. She's also applied for a job in Austria, and if she gets that, we'll move to Austria. So
yeah, cool.
We'll have to do another fucking whole move and setup. But Austria seems like a pretty place to live. So
That'd be sick.
Complain.
Fuck yeah.
Other
And it's
than
cool. It's cool to do as well. Like, that's the one thing that I can't talk about now, but we'll talk about when it's all out, is missing like the opportunity to do something like that, especially like later in life. For me now, it's not even like work or money at the start. It's like, I've got to fucking convince the boss first, as in Emily. You got to get through that wall first and then do it all. So I'm super glad that like,
is fucking
That's what I
hard,
was about
man.
to say, you know, like.
Yeah, it's hectic. It actually wasn't that bad initially when it was just 8 hours because Europe was on daylight savings. I didn't
Right.
even notice Europe had daylight savings.
Yeah.
And then Australia didn't, and it was like 8 hour gap.
Yeah.
But then
And
it
it flips
flips,
and
so
it's
it's 10 hours.
Yeah.
And then so I'd wake up, have like a couple of hours maybe to talk to Jess, and if I was on a DGen schedule, I'd fully miss Jess. I'd wake up after she'd gone to bed.
Is that when you were
She
doing like the
sleeps-
RMR and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
And then she'll wake up at 9 p.m. and she always calls me when she wakes up, but 9 p.m. will usually be after I've like started the stream and or I'm like mid game.
Yeah.
Everyone finally starts to come
Yeah.
online in Europe that want to play. So I'm like, oh, cool, we'll play. And then Jess calls me and I'm like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, I'm in a game. Or she's like, are you in a game? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, all right. And then,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just like a little awkward moment. And then I call her back afterwards and say, oh, sorry, baby.
And then when you came home, was it just how long were you in Australia for? Like 2 weeks?
Almost 3 weeks.
And down the gong the whole time?
No, like between, down south
Yeah.
in the Shoalhaven and then in Sydney.
Yeah.
But then there was just things as well, right? Like it's so bittersweet because like even though I was there, I was like, I can't enjoy this too much, or I'm going to be really sad when I left.
Yep.
And like last 3 days, I was crying because I didn't want to go home. I was like, but then it was also like moving back, like because I've been living alone, so like there's obviously I can wake up, walk around the house naked,
Yep.
that not be a problem. Just like tiny little things, and then I'm back like living in a share house. I'm like, can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
decent.
Got to close the
before-
toilet door.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all those little things. Then of course, like, Jess and Pico, spending time with them was great. Seeing mum and dad as well. Dad has gone through like a bunch of operations because he's been sick. So he's good now. And he was really sad because he was literally in the hospital when I got back and he wanted to be there to be like, welcome back. So I didn't get to see him for a couple of days when I got back. So that was all stressful because I was like, cool, Dad's getting a fucking operation. and
We're all
he has
getting old,
gallbladder
man. Like this
Yeah.
shit's happening in life. Like
That's it. Yeah.
And that was like one of my main fears as well when I moved overseas is knowing that my parents are getting older and if they need someone to support them for whatever reason, if shit happens and goes wrong, then
Yeah. I mean, this podcast's getting a bit deep, but I mean, I think it's like I'm at that point as well where like I can kind of do what I want now because certain things have happened in my life that I can sort
You
of
had a
go.
fucking crazy
I
2024,
can
man.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fucked.
Yeah.
I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. But like I've been away from home. I was living in Sydney for like 8 years or so.
And with
You know,
people the whole time as well.
I've seen my sister grow from a teenager to an actual human being, basically.
an adult. Yeah.
An adult in that time.
Teenager to human.
Like it's gone from she was like a teenager to she's an adult person
yeah.
in the time that I was away.
Yeah.
And like I didn't really get to like have we never had a bad relationship at all, but like we didn't have a relationship basically. It was just like, we would text every now and then.
Yeah.
And I'd see her once a year. And the same for my parents. Like my dad's 70 and my mum's over 60 now as well. So they're getting to that age where it's like, things can start going wrong. And I've been away for like nearly 10 years. I feel like a little bit guilty if I just go, yeah, I'm going to go fucking live in Europe or something, which I could do, you know what I mean? And it probably would be better for my career sort of, but like, I don't know. I mean, like you've said, Mac, I like living in Australia. I think it's a great place to live. I think there's this,
So the conversation a lot about FlyQuest as well, right?
yeah,
like they're obviously
yeah.
boot camping
I
now overseas and
I
shit,
relate
but-
to that in a very big way. I'm like, man, fucking go off. Like if
Yeah.
I could do what they're doing, 100% I'd be doing it.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a look into like Ali's current life because he's obviously just been released from the team and stuff, and I went and hung out with him over Christmas and like seeing what he has to leave so regularly. It's like that's the job, right? That's what you got to do if you want to progress your career. It's just you're the perfect example where you've done it.
Yeah.
But fuck, it's hard, and I don't think people realize that because it's like, oh, you're playing games for a living or you're commentating for a living. It's like even for me, it's like I go over here and they're like, oh, have a nice holiday. I'm like, I'm going to be working fucking harder than I am back home, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's such an interesting shift between talking to people, whether it be online who are gamers or not. And then when you get to hang out with each other and understand what it's all like,
Other than the personal shit though, like I think I wouldn't have got, I think it was like 4, 5 different gigs I got in the last 6 months of the year that I just wouldn't have got if I was in Australia. And that would have been like, I might have had, one event back in Oz and then a lot of online stuff and that would have been it. But like even with Valorant, right, we had the Valorant thing. I got 1 day or maybe 2 days and then I think you got like 2 or 3 days. Everyone only got a couple of days because it just does the playoffs.
Yeah.
So other than that, there's not much CS on. I wouldn't have got, like I might have still got EWC, but then when I was at EWC, because like I'd obviously told ESL that I was like moving and in the works to like make Malta happen, I got Cologne,
Yep.
which I didn't expect to get.
Yep.
And then that like fucked with my getting ready to move to Malta time because I got back.
Yeah,
and I had, like
no shit.
5 days or something to like pack and go.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't have got Pro League if I hadn't already put myself in Malta.
Yeah.
And then off the back Pro League got Challenger Cato, ESL Impact, which was also another last minute one I got asked to do. And I think there might be another one in there I'm forgetting, but it was all
there's
fun.
two things I want to touch on with this. It's like the first thing with the lack of like Aussie work, right? So just Valorant alone last year versus the year before. I think the year before there was 40 broadcasts, and remember there's like 8 talent that has got to go between as well, right? To shift it all up.
Yeah.
There was 16. So cutting
they
it
just
more
kept on
than
picking up more
in
and more
half,
people.
more people and less shows, right? So like
That
in
doesn't
the end,
work,
it's
does
like
it?
I think I did like 2 days on stage 2 and then like 2 days on stage 1 or something, and then it always ends up fucking clashing with something else, and then versus like how much it costs for us to go places. Like now that you're in Malta, how much would it cost to get you to one of the event locations? So like if you were to go Cato, for example,
Also,
how much
like-
would it cost to fly you?
To Cato, I think it can be like a €200 or €300 flight.
That's fucking crazy. Like
Yeah.
for us,
It's like $700. Not even.
it'd be
No,
two- it'd be
500.
two-
That's each
Five-
way.
Yeah.
So, but, like,
Oh, okay. Well,
But
so let's
it'd
say
be
it's
what?
$1,000 Australian.
Yeah.
Kind of.
it'd
to
be like
go
2.5
return.
grand for us.
Easily.
Probably.
Easily.
How much was it for you guys from Mongolia? Wasn't it like 3 grand or something like that as well?
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I remember looking into the flights just purely out of interest, and it was fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I know
So-
just like in Australian, it was like just shy of like 4K to go back and come back from like for Chrissy.
yeah, fuck.
It was like the 36, 38. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And that like just puts into perspective the differences. in
That's right.
prices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Going to Serbia was cheap as fuck. Actually, I got like a direct flight, 2 hours. That was good.
How was that? How was it? I want to get your
Serbia
brain on
itself
the
was
awards.
kind of cool.
Well, Serbia and
I didn't
the
actually
the
go out of
awards.
the hotel except to go to the awards.
Yeah.
Because I was only there for 36 hours.
Yeah.
Awards were sick. If you can go next year, if like you're in a financial position and have the time and whatever time they put
Because
it
what did
on,
the invite
go.
process
It's
go like? Do you
fucking
just reach out and say I'd like to go, and then that's how you get the
good. They
invite,
just have
or
an application on
on HLTV?
HLTV.
Yeah,
It's
sick.
just like apply to go.
Yeah, cool.
And then
Huh. Fuck yeah.
Geographically Challenged HLTV Awards show podcast.
Man,
Oh,
could
no.
you imagine? We'll
Next
get
year.
we'll get the HLTV guys on, get them with
Yeah.
us. You know,
Possible.
couple guests.
Possible. Yeah, I mean, it looked really good. It looked super legit. I felt like it was more of an event this year than what it was last year, just from watching online.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because I think that kind of shows that there is an appetite for that, and it will mean that they're going to seriously invest into it over the next few years. And obviously, as it goes on, people like you will go, like you went for the first time this year, Mac, and I'm thinking, maybe if things line up, I'll go next year. Like it'll be a pretty expensive trip for me, coming from Australia,
But the networking and who you get to
the
catch
networking.
up
But
with.
if it would, for example, if it would score me one event, like if you could go to HLTV Awards and say I networked with one person and that got me one event, then it would instantly make that
Yeah.
cost worth.
Yeah.
At the rates that we charge. So that's really all it needs to be. And even then, beyond that fact, it's like you could get to see people, you get to meet people, you get to hang out.
Yeah.
Probably run a podcast or two, stuff like that. Like it's good. I'm pretty keen to go, assuming everything lines up. And if it's at the same time in the year, it probably should because there's not really much else on. I even said like if I would have known like ahead of time more so that I could have gone directly from there to here the same way that you did, I probably would have done that just because like it would have been only one flight. I would have had to fly myself to Belgrade,
Yeah.
then
accommodate
come
myself for
straight
one
here and
night,
then
and
just
then
go
get
straight
these
back.
guys to fly me to China
Yeah.
and then China to home, and that would have like obviously saved probably $1,000 or $1,500 for
Yeah.
me. So that could have been big, but yeah, I think it looks awesome. I'm pretty happy to see that exists in the space. So
Yeah.
I think it was
It
cool.
was good. Heaps of industry people, heaps of TO people,
I got a lot of FOMO.
all the talent
Yeah,
pretty
definitely.
much.
Yeah, because that's what I don't realize. Like everyone goes. It's fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, and obviously everyone's a bit more close, but even just to have like one Aussie rep, like Lucy as well, technically, but
Yeah.
having yourself in there was like.
And Chad.
And yeah, no,
Yeah,
fuck, Chad's not an
yeah,
Aussie
yeah,
anymore, bro.
yeah.
And he goes to comes back to Perth, like posts one photo of Scarborough Beach, and it's like, yeah, I'm from Australia. It's like, fuck off. I love Chad though; he's a beast. But yeah, he's been doing it for so long now over there, because he was the first of us, right, to give it a real crack and be like, fuck it, I'm going. Because like, when did LA Renegades move? When they were in the Las Vegas?
2016,
Yeah,
2017.
because they were the first team that. Oh, except Winter Fox
When he
at a
moved
similar
to
time. but-
Germany or the UK, though, that was in like 2017.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2017 would have been.
Yeah,
think,
because it was very soon. I remember like he rode the Lightning, got kicked from the team, and then was like, well, "Fuck
Off
it,
we go.
let's go for this."
Yeah,
And
I literally remember his tweet. He tweeted out like, how do I get into this broadcast stuff or something like that? And then someone was like, oh yeah. And then I think it was like 2 weeks later, he was on a big show and it's moved overseas or something.
Yeah. Because the player talent seemed to have quite a pretty deep, good run in, right? Because they've already got rapport in the industry and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
What do you guys think about 2025? I mean, we can start to wrap things up here.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
excited.
getting close to an hour. Let's talk 2025. Obviously, 32 teams major, MRQ, all of that kind of stuff. The whole VRS system, we're still kind of like pretty fresh in on it. It hasn't really like hit just yet. Blast Bounty will be starting on Tuesday. EXTREMESLAND will be starting on
Who's Flycoast hosting? Is it MIBR? They're hosting in their opening week?
MIBR.
Yeah. But how do you guys think about just not necessarily specifically about Blast Bounty or anything, but like just CS in 2025? Have you got good vibes or not good vibes?
For CS, it's good vibes. You know that Valve changed the map pool and Train will look as soon as the pros play Train and some things get exposed about what's the problem with the map. Valve will probably make adjustments, kind of like they did with Anubis. Everyone kind of hated Anubis when it first came out, but then
everyone hates every map when it first comes out, right?
It's just like those small changes that eventually get made, and then those changes will usually fix up everything and balance the map out a little. I'm keen to see how Train evolves during the next month. I feel like they'll have to change something. They're playing it at Cato, so it'll be interesting to see if any teams have already worked on it or have anything cool. Some teams will probably be like, fuck it, let's float it, and then the other team will be like, yeah, let's float it, and some team will get upset, and that'll be good. And then the fact that it felt so good that the major was the last tournament of the season.
It did, yeah.
And
that
we
was good.
get that
Yep.
2 times this year now.
It was so fucking good too. And it literally gave me a spark again. I've loved CS. I always loved CS, but with the way life was last year, especially, it's like in the limited video game time I had, I was usually prepping for Valorant gigs, right? So I was playing Val to try keep fresh on that, because at least CS doesn't change that fucking much. Like the maps do and all that kind of stuff, but it is the core. Whereas Valorant, you need to know that fucking this new agent has this ability, and fucking you got to know the names too, right? So I'm just trying to keep fresh on that. So I played a little bit of CS after watching it, and I remember we would get home from work and me and Em would just sit on the couch and just watch. And it was so fucking nice. And, then jumping on with you guys and doing a co-stream, just so fucking nice. And to have the Aussies almost do all right, and then Rare Adam almost do all right. And then Mongols doing really well, a little bit of an upset there in the end. So it just fucking burst me at the seams. I was like, this is why I love this game so much, being able to watch that, having all those cool, you get Donks 1v5 and Skulls as 1v4. And it's like, fuck, man, CS is so good. So hoping off the back of that, 2025 will be good. And just... even now, for all of us being so far away from each other now, it's so good to have everyone back at the start of the year. We're not waiting for hopefully something to maybe happen in April or something later in the end of the year. Now that
what are you possibly referring to that could be happening in April?
Hey, there's an unmarked event, so but that's where do we see each other now? Where do we hang out with the boys? That's more what I'm going to. Even friends too.
I've realized that because obviously at the start of this year I moved away from Sydney, and I was like, oh, it kind of sucks. I don't see anyone that much anymore. Not that we super hung out a lot. We would maybe see each other obviously at work, but we didn't go. You used to host stuff at your place every now and then, but it wasn't we weren't seeing each other every week sort of thing, but it was the option was there. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, now just because living in Brisbane, there's not that many people there necessarily. I'm like, oh, I can't really see anyone. But then I was like, but no one's even there anymore. Mac's gone to, you've gone to Malta. Pilly's doing his thing now, which again, unannounced, but will be at some point soon. It's everyone's kind of fucking disappearing sort of thing, and that's life, isn't it?
It's even this year, it's who's going to be left to cast in Australia? You and me, and then fuck knows who else. Maybe we'll get some of the other guys in, some of the newer guys.
Yeah, I mean the thing is there's nothing to cast anyway.
That's it. We've got ECL, couple of qualifiers, Dfrag. Hopefully will be good if that happens more than once.
I think that's what I'm probably most worried about for this year. Is the last year it looked like there was a lack of domestic events, and it feels like it's going to be just as much of a lack of domestic events, at least in Australia.
In Australia, yes.
Just get a few more local lands, get the Dfrag events, the majors hopefully will hype up a little bit more as well. But I just want more of us to go to Asian events. If we get some Aussie teams in the XC seasons and that kind of shit, maybe if Misa do something, that'd be nice, because that'll at least give us something to play for. But I don't know, CS is globally, it's such an reproving itself again to just be the GOAT esport. The amount of TIs, Worlds is always actually pretty good. I will give that, in League, but nothing else matches up to fucking how good the competitive CS is, and it's just crazy after
And
25
the
years that it's still there,
storylines
you know?
and how good that major was.
Yeah.
That was such a good major.
Man, like you think just like Donk fucking like FaZe is crying, Donk just fucking moonwalks over there and is like, hey guys, GG. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like shit like that, you know? You don't get that in any other title.
Oh,
Crazy.
That was gold. Other than that, there's like a lot of events. Star Ladder's supposed to be having events at some point in the next, like 4
PGL
months.
as well.
Yeah, PGL's got some big ones, but
Yeah.
they moved the Argentinian one back to Bucharest.
That was one of them was supposed to be in Mongolia. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, apparently one of them was supposed to be in Mongolia in Ulaanbaatar, and I believe, from what I've heard, the reason that didn't end up happening was because teams didn't want to travel to Mongolia.
Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
so that's a bit of a dampener, unfortunately.
Yeah, that'd
To be-
suck
to be
because like the
fair-
Mongolian fans are so after it. They would be such a sick
yeah,
crowd.
yeah, it would have been sick.
You know, the first time we went for Blast,
Yep,
how it was super easy to get to Ulaanbaatar, but then the traffic was just
the
nuts.
traffic was nuts.
When you went the second time in summer or whatever it was,
I want to say it was better.
was better?
I didn't really notice it as much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was better.
Yeah, because the first time you went in winter and it's like snowy, like mountains as you're flying over and shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking so sick.
It was literally a snowy wasteland. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
crazy
yeah.
flying in.
Well, like Russia with Asia, right? Like that's basically like the crossover. Hey?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, some cool events. There's going to be one in Kazakhstan, right? Fucking,
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
it's a PGL one.
Yep.
PGL are running like 3 in the first half of the year, and then I think only 1 in the second half. And there's not been the announcement for the second major of the year, but I'm wondering if that's leading towards like PGL getting that second major.
As far as I know, the word on the street is it's a Star Ladder major.
Okay.
That's what I've heard, but I have no idea. Like, obviously, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
No
but
one tells Elfishguy anything.
That's what I've been hearing. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right.
I've heard a few things. I just don't know
Yeah.
at what point, when these things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really all up in the air at the moment, isn't it? For all of us, like fuck knows what's. Has anyone like under the radar got anything like hard booked yet?
No.
Only this.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've got
it's literally
some
insane,
online
yeah.
stuff booked. Like I've
Yeah.
got some remote work booked and
Yeah.
some calls and stuff like that. But as far as like actual events is concerned, this is like the only event that I've got booked for
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
I have some that I'm like, oh, if that happens again, I will
Yeah,
probably
should get
get
that.
it.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't always necessarily. First of all, you don't necessarily get it, assuming the event even happens, and second
No.
of all, the event doesn't always happen.
That's it.
So,
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. I mean, I think I'm okay for like staying in esports for 2025. You know what I mean? But like, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like looking down the line at mine now, and it's like, okay, I've got like, I abuse the 20 days annual leave
Yeah.
so well,
Yeah.
and I always have. But this one was like, I'll be back to like flatlining it, and then you accumulate it again over time. But knowing that my wedding's in November, how much I'm going to have to use around that, and also how many times I'm going to have to go back and forth to like Adelaide to like set it up.
Yeah.
So from timings of the year, I'm literally like, there's one thing that like might happen is that will work.
You might have to take some unpaid leave.
Yeah, and but it's really hard because like it gets to the point where my boss is now sitting there going like, are you still wanting to do this, or you
Yeah.
still want to like leave insurance and go to esports?
Yeah.
And he got really funny about it. Like I took some unpaid leave unintentionally, I think it was, and he like pulled me up and he's like, I thought, you know, this is, are you trying to like break out again? I'm like, man, no, I can't fucking afford it, bro. I got shit to pay for.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's such a funny like life at the, because you're at the start and usually you have some sort of understanding of what your year is going to look like, right?
Yeah.
But for me at
Yeah.
the moment, I just like, I fucking no idea.
Yep.
Like,
Well, I think, even like no one was booked for Cato until recently.
yep.
Which I'm not on, but I might go and
Yeah.
watch because it's actually not that expensive.
It'd be
to
fucking sick,
go.
yeah. And because Cato's not too expensive to be there either, is it?
No, Poland's quite cheap.
Yeah.
I heard it's pretty cheap. Because I didn't get to watch Cologne. That was I missed out on that. I was there for the play-ins, but because I had to get ready to move, I couldn't stay and watch it.
Yeah.
And that Cologne was a good Cologne too.
It was,
That
yeah,
really good
yeah.
Cologne.
And I feel like just being in the cathedral would be fucking sick too.
Yeah.
Like just experiencing that one
And
time.
I feel like Cato, like people are like, oh, Cato's not as good as Cologne to like experience, but if I'm not doing anything, and I
It'll still
kinda
be good
wanna-
for someone that's come from Australia. I'll tell you
God,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
And I never
yeah.
get to just experience the event. Like,
Yeah.
When we've worked on events, it's not the same as
How
sitting
often
back.
do you go to an event that you're not working? I don't think for the last like 10 years, or not quite 10 years, but I don't remember the last time I actually went to an event.
Mine was
that I
IEM
was not
Sydney's.
working.
I did
Yeah,
the,
mine was the Sydney's.
17, 18, 19. I think I did as a first was a guest, second it was like a quasi creator, and then I think third was like booth hosting or something with
Right,
Kaz and
right,
stuff. But
right.
I was never like working it, so
Yeah.
you kind of like rock up, do your 2 hours at the booth, and then fucking 4 park CCs, and then go
Yeah.
straight in the crowd and
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. So yeah, but that was sick because that was I think what I was touching on earlier. It's like when you've got hard marked, it's like you've either got IM Sydney or you've got like Challenger Melbourne or something, right?
Yeah.
At least there's something, and PAX even. Remember when we used to go to PAX and stuff? It's like at least there's something where you're going to see everyone again loosely, and it's so nice. For me, it's like, I used to catch up with like all the guys that used to play like Ekel and Haz and all that, and like you'd see them, and it's like, fuck, this is nice. But now it's just like, when?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally when.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well, that's 2025. We'll see how it goes. I got a couple of questions from one of the viewers from the last episode. It's from Mirazrai, and then we'll wrap this one up. He is asking, in light of the ESL Impact circuit skipping Asia for another year, would HSG be better off qualifying for Impact finals from North America instead of Europe? Look, honestly, I don't really know. I don't follow Impact at all.
They might
so.
give another Asian slot. I think they change up the slots and where the quals are coming from, because people are like, oh, why did HSG not get invited or like have a qual to make it to the last Impact that I just did? And it's just because it looks like, depending on like where they're running the Impact, there's like
A different
an extra slot for the.
They
this
do that with
region.
normal. They do that with IEM as well, right? Like
Yeah.
Dallas has like would have an extra slot for NA.
Yeah.
Same way as like Sydney in the past has had a
An extra slot for
Oceania
Aussie team.
slot.
Yep.
I think that is changing though. I think that they are changing that to change with the VRS invites now instead of.
Yeah, and I know this is like moving away from the Impact question, but actually, no, we'll answer the Impact question. Yes, NA would be easier to qualify through
There you
than
go.
Europe.
Definitely.
Europe has some very fucking good female
Hell
teams.
yeah. It's such a shame with all the orgs stepping away as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be such an interesting year for Impact, I think, and it'll really be that thing where the ones who really want it, like the players who are really, really wanting it, will just keep going anyway.
Yeah.
And then just hope we'll just have a few meme names up against each other when they just made like funny roster names and shit for not having an org behind them. But anyway, I think the good ones will keep grinding it out, I reckon.
Yeah.
On that note as well, Imperial female picked to play against Navi.
Yeah,
I was
based
like,
as
"Whoa,
fuck.
That's fucking.
I kept seeing all the
That's
things. It's like
ballsy.
when the women have more balls than the men, because like no one's gonna pick Navi. Yeah.
I mean, fuck it, why not?
Because look, no matter the outcome of that, like whether they get trounced or not, it's still good. Like I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting to watch.
They got the invite to Kato as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they got an invite because they're quite high up.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I know we wanted the representation, and that's definitely a factor. But I think something needs to be looked at with regard to that. Like that's just not.
Yeah, I
It's
got
just
high
not what
hopes.
it should
though.
be.
You know, when I watched them play, I was like, holy
Like,
fuck.
unless they
they're,
come
like,
out at
really
Bounty
good.
and Kato, and then you're like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah, that's right. Oh, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's always like when you have mixed rosters, that's going to be the lead to success.
People,
like
the thing is, people are going to say like, "Oh, it's going to work itself out," and it will. Like, if they don't deserve to be at those events, then they will get absolutely fucking smashed.
100%.
And then they will drop.
The story will play itself out.
But my issue then is they will go back to the Impact circuit, farm points again, and then qualify for another couple of events at some point.
Right.
Once their like threshold goes, like it'll just be like this constant wave.
Yeah.
They'll get like one or two invites, drop back down. Get one or two invites, drop back down. Like and I don't begrudge them for taking the invites or anything like that. I think fine, do whatever you have to do, but. Valve's going to have to, I think, look at that and just figure things out, because this will potentially affect the major as well.
Yeah,
'Cause I
they
wonder,
need to
like-
rebalance the how much money,
Yeah.
the weight of money on the VRS.
That's the
points.
biggest one, because I know that like the Dfrag one especially, it's like we actually need, if it's going to be more VRS points, it needs to be more prize money. So
Yeah. Also, I mean, speaking of money and VRS points, the other question that Mirazrai had was, in light of ECL NA teams, in light of ECL NA having teams quit to grind VRS points, will this problem get repeated in Asia? I don't know exactly what he's referring to, but I'm assuming that there are potentially some teams dropping out of Challenger League North America because they don't want to risk the VRS points loss domestically.
Okay.
And he's asking whether or not that will happen in Asia as well. My take would be, I don't think that will happen in Asia.
Not in Asia.
Mongols already dropped out.
Mongols has never played ECL, or at least they didn't last year. They would be the only team that would be relevant in that discussion, as it were.
Yeah.
And for everybody else, it's like actually their main way to get VRS points.
Yeah.
So it's like the only sort of reasonable league in Asia. So I think we'll be okay in that respect, would be my take.
Yeah.
I'd
on
love if
that.
it could get some HLTV representation again, so we
Yeah.
can see some stats when casting it.
That's
Jesus.
it, exactly.
That's been one of my
It is
big
killer,
things.
hey, not having all that. And yeah. But anyway, look, I suppose there's always the good thing is when you don't have like the bots that are in the chat or whatever, like you get some get some good like people typing in the chat that are watching along. You know, they actually give a shit about the games, which is nice. But it's HLTV giveth, HLTV taketh away.
And the other thing with that other question, when we was talking about like the slot distribution, it kicked the gears. I'm quite tired. I've had a fucking long day.
Oh, we should mention Mac literally got off a plane like 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
It was hectic.
I think you're the only one, Jordan, without like the cursed entry in. Like I can't fucking sleep on the plane. So like I was up all Saturday, didn't sleep Saturday night, and then like thought that a power nap would get me through, and then realized I got fucking trolleyed last night and I passed out in the Uber. I was okay, by the way. I didn't make an ass of myself.
Absolutely
thank fuck,
wank. Or you might have got wank drunk, or you might have got food poison.
Yeah, who knows? I really just don't know. I think it was just like all the exhaustion pent up, and then you're in this big city by yourself cruising around. Thank God Jordan took me for dinner, so that was nice.
Save the day.
Yeah,
fuck. Back to the hotel.
I'm feeling good today. That's the main thing. I can only imagine if we started the show today, that would just been fucking stupid. So, and then you had the curse run in by just staying up, maybe.
Well, I had to.
Yeah,
I couldn't sleep after the award show. It was just like I just had to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that I was going to say is there are events. There's no O slots for a lot of these events. It's just Asia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out if that's just going to be like.
It is.
Asia VRS. It's just like whoever the fuck's there.
It'll be Mongols FlyQuest. It
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
100%. That's what that will be.
And that's why I want to see more like what we used to have. Remember when we had fucking like Rock Masters and shit where we'd play in Asia lots more.
That's why EXTREMESLAND matters.
Need more of that.
Yes.
Need more of this.
But it's not VRS ranked.
That's right. Yeah. So if we get more EXTREMESLAND style events in future that are VRS, so you hope that like
And
as
it
I said,
matters that
Misa, XC, whoever.
It would matter as well that OS is invited to the Asia events.
Yes,
And
100%.
In theory, in an ideal world, Asia would be invited to the OS events. Like, for example, the Asian teams would potentially be invited to a Dfrag Invitational.
If we had like a Tyloo or something
if
in a
it got to that
Dfrag,
level.
yeah.
It's not at that level. There's no reason really for an Asia team to come to that. But
not
like,
yet.
The good news is, and why I keep talking about this ACL thing, no one else seems to be talking about this fucking Hero Esports ACL Asia Champions League.
Yeah, true.
I feel like I'm the only fucking person in the English-speaking world that even knows what this thing is.
Yeah.
Lack of visibility?
I think so, because it's a Chinese TO. They do tweet about it. They have a Twitter, but no one's following it.
I didn't even know they have a Twitter, so there you go.
and I'm like, guys, this is like the most important thing that's happening in 2025 for Asia. And no one seems to fucking care about it. I mean, HLTV...
I retweeted it because I was the big chicken in the little...
Yeah,
photo.
exactly. But HLTV don't have an article on it. There's nothing going... There's no, like, nothing.
Is there a chance there's going to be representation from that organisation here this weekend, maybe?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because if there is, then maybe we can fucking...
Yeah. Look, we'll have to see. But
get them on.
The thing is, like, I want people to look at that, and I want people to recognize it, and I want people to care about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like, when it actually starts, it will get some traction.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I feel like no one's even talking about it.
So can you give like a very, very brief breakdown on what that event's going to be and what it's going to mean?
We have in the past on Geographically Challenged sort of talked about it, but basically it's an Asia-based league run by Hero Esports, which is formerly known as VSPO, which is a very big tournament operator here in Asia, and it will involve all of the top teams in Asia, including Oceania, and it will be VRS ranked, and they will be invited based on VRS ranking. So this will be the way that Asia determines its VRS ranking.
Do you know how many Aussie teams?
I don't know. I believe it's a 16-team event.
Total, yeah.
4 invited to the main event, which would presumably be your Mongols, FlyQuest, plus at the moment what would be the top 2 ranked teams, like maybe Atox, Rare Atom, I guess.
Rare Atom probably,
and then the remaining 12 are invited based on the VRS ranking. So it's however many OS teams are inside that remaining 12. And pending whether or not Mongols and FlyQuest potentially decline it, for example.
And how long would they need to be there for?
I don't know.
That's a big question mark, I suppose.
But it's apparently a LAN event. The rumors are that it's maybe it's in Suzhou, which is close to Shanghai, in April. But I haven't, like, there's no like official nothing coming out necessarily just yet. So anyway, keep an eye on that, I'd say, for those of you that are interested in Asia. I think it's going to be a good thing, but should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Watch more Asian Counter-Strike, please. Play more, invest more, fucking do it. Like, I think the one thing that I've always wrote on is like, maybe you're not going to get like a Spirit phase or something game, right?
Yeah.
But it's fucking fun to watch. And because it's not what you expect, right? There's like some really interesting games where shit happens that would never happen in a tier 1 major event. And it's so fun to watch. It means so much to everyone involved. And I think like you don't realize until you're in it how much the people who are in it and who are putting their time, like, you know, us as casters or the players or whatever, fucking love this game.
Yeah.
And they're doing it purely on that basis.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that I would say for people going into 2025 is if you want CS in Asia to succeed, or CS just in general to succeed, is to support the things that support.
Sponsor
the CS.
Geographically Challenged.
So, yeah.
Buy a jersey.
Buy a jersey. Buy a fucking mouse pad, Mongol's mouse pad. You probably
Yeah.
can't see it, but it's the same one that was on the other episodes in China. It's my travel mouse pad. You know, Skin Club obviously supporting us here for Geographically Challenged. If you're inclined, go check that out. If you're not inclined, just fucking click the link anyway, and maybe there'll be some tracking thing in there that'll be good. But also, like, Zowie, you know, putting this event on.
Yeah.
Like, we obviously like Zowie products in general. I have Zowie monitors in anyway, but, like, you know, like, that's the kind of thing. Like, that the only reason we have this is because those people are putting this on and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you're doing anything, just support those companies, and they'll hopefully continue to support esports. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Episode 74. We're going to try and do at least one more while I'm here, and the next one is... Spoiler alert, supposed to be with K and Dobu. So Meta K from
Whilst
Mongolia.
here?
Yeah, whilst here. So it'll be K and Dobu on the couch there. So if you have any questions for them, put them in the comments. That'll be at some point during this week. Hopefully, obviously we haven't locked in a time yet because Dobu's going to be playing.
Yeah, we don't know.
We'll
what
be
our
busy with
days are gonna
casting
look
and
like,
whatnot.
yeah.
But
we've got some big fucking days ahead. But
failing
it's
that, we might be
exciting.
able to get one done. I was thinking like maybe Monday next week before our flight, because we're all flying late.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
we
fly till the afternoon. Just
may as
depends
well
on fucking
do
how
one.
hungover we are. I
That's
guess.
the question. Yeah, well, there'll be an after party. Will we
Yeah.
be capable of talking on that day? Anyway, that'll be it. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
No, as I said, keep supporting the podcast. It's fucking really, really good because,
Yep.
again, it's those things of where the people who are still in the Oceanic APAC Counter-Strike scene are the ones who fucking love it. So, as I said, Blair, Mitch, and Jordan fucking love it. They
Shout-outs,
still keep
boys.
doing it. So, shout out to the boys. And, yeah, hopefully this week is a lot of fun. Should be really good.
Believe in yourself.
Based.
There you go. Believe in yourself. Like, comment, subscribe. buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy. Shout out to Skin Club. See you next time. Hey guys, just at the end of that video and heading into 2025, I want to give a massive shout out to Jean, who has been a big supporter of mine on buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy. She's been a member for over 12 months. And if you'd be interested in supporting my content and getting this content grind going, then head over there as well and check it out.